things. But of course, I think a lot of you would venture to say food, drink, and of course, the company of people we like, and some beauty, some pleasure that makes life worth living. Put them all together, and what do you get? Well, you get a restaurant, right? That's like it's all wrapped up in one. In the best instances, it's good food, good drinks, hopefully good company, even if it's just your own, and a good place, a good moment to be in. So that's why restaurants have been with us for ages. And it stands to reason that restaurants will be the first to recover from the crisis. Pandemic, be damned, right? But it is one of the hardest hit industries. Tonight, we have a guest who is the communications director of perhaps the largest association of restaurant owners in the country. It's called RESTO PH. Born during the lockdown, the members came together, as many people did, of the message on the messaging app Viber, and then later on, of course, on everyone's favorite app, Facebook, to trade war stories, to hear and help each other out, and to bring the restaurant industry back on its feet and running. He's also a well known and well loved figure in food and restaurant circles. He's a restaurant consultant, also a TV host of the program Let's Eat. He's a food and lifestyle writer for the Philippine Star, a former TV sportscaster, a podcaster, and a social media influencer. Is also a friend of mine. Heard on Thursdays, the communications director of Resto PH, Spanky Enriquez. Hey, Spanks, how are you?
Good evening. It's pretty late. I like the late show, man. So thanks for having me.
Hello, can you hear me, Spanky?
Yes. Am I muted? Hold on. Yeah, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, I can hear you. How are
Yeah.
you?
Thanks. Well, it's late at night, and yeah, I'm glad you're still awake. I'm glad many people are still
Yeah,
up. Well,
it's good to
well,
see.
but that's the thing now. Like we don't go
Yeah,
out, so I'm home. It's 11:15. It seems
right.
early for out and about, but it's late now that we're stuck at home.
I know. I feel you. I feel you. Spanks, we haven't seen each other in a while. For those of you listening, Spanky and I, we've met many times in the past,
Yeah.
pre-pandemic, because Spanky, you're very active in the food scene. So we'll talk more about your, your expertise in that and how Resto PH kind of made their impact during this pandemic. But first of all, I like to ask my guests the first thing is outside of what you're doing for work and with Resto PH, what have you been keeping busy with? Are you watching any new shows on Netflix or reading any books or I don't know, keeping you busy?
I watch too much Netflix, and that's for sure. And but although now the show that I'm really hooked on is, have you seen Mayor of? It stars Kate Winslet. It's on HBO.
No, I have
Mayor
not.
Mayor Mayor of Easttown. Yeah,
Is it
it's
good?
one
What's
of the. It's really good. It's one of those prestige shows that HBO does every year, like
yeah.
Succession, Chernobyl, and of
Mm.
course Game of Thrones. Very high production values. Super good actors, excellent scripts. It's a 7 episode series. It's a limited series. It's sixth episode is coming Monday. It's about
Oh,
a detective in a rural town, a small town in Pennsylvania, where a lot of shady goings on and murder is in the air.
okay. Yeah,
Super good, man. Super good.
I see you on Facebook all the time because we're friends on Facebook. You watch a lot of shows. You recommend a lot of shows, so I always kind of take those to heart. You seem to be a movie and TV buff yourself.
Thank you. Been doing it my whole life, especially more so the past 14 months. Oh
So,
man.
Becky, during the pandemic, I guess a lot of people have been ordering food. It's been probably one of the biggest booms in food delivery. How do you do the your food delivery? How's your food delivery spending during the last 14 months? Mine has gone up exponentially.
It's ridiculous. I think you can see it. I look at myself now, and in terms of poundage, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm good with the food. I'm glad that we still have access to all of this good food, despite the fact that we can't go out. I love the fact that we have all of the riders ready to serve us. But yeah, I have been spending a lot, and as a writer, we do get a lot of samples of food, and I'm just very happy that so many small businesses are flourishing.
Hmm.
this pandemic, and it's been going for the some have gotten back to work because the first 3 months last year, from March to June 2020, no one was really going out, right?
Hmm.
So you had to do something, and especially the people who just had to leave their jobs in hotels and restaurants, and they had the necessary skills and a little bit of talent, and they did sell a lot, and a lot of them have prospered, and they're still selling up to now. And those are the
Yeah,
ones I really want to support, the small businesses.
definitely. Speaking of small businesses, since you've kind of you've been kind of overseeing all the, not every single restaurant, but you've probably seen the trends during this pandemic. What I noticed online was that there, in terms of new small businesses selling on social media, that
Mhm.
I saw a big uptick in that. Do you have any thoughts on the rise of Instagram home baked cookies and sushi bake, and I can't even think what else they've been selling
Yeah, ube
online.
cheese pandesal and everything,
So
right?
yeah,
Sourdough. Um, I'll be very honest. For a while, restaurants did consider them as competition.
okay,
Actually, we still do, in a manner of speaking, but we also realize that we're all in the same boat. Everyone's just trying to hustle. Everyone's just trying to survive, right? And we are also very aware of the fact that many of these people who are doing home businesses had to be offloaded, or they had to be hibernated from their jobs. So whatever we can do to support, and we're just very optimistic that this can end soon. And we hope that everyone who wants to stay in the business stays in the business. We're here to help small restaurants and big restaurants alike. And if you want to join the ranks of the restaurant industry, then yeah, by all means, we'll be very happy to have you. It's
I
very
love it.
competitive right now. It's very competitive, but the people who are really coming up with something, it's I'm just blown away by all the talent that's out there, all the innovations, all the disruptions. I'm just blown away.
Yeah, I would say that although this pandemic might have been for some people like myself, where I feel like a lot of my productivity went down, it seemed to have motivated a lot of people. Wouldn't you say?
Uh, yeah, because for so many people, it's really a matter of survival.
Hmm.
It's very sad, and this is what disheartens us, and I guess what inspires us to work so hard for the restaurant industry. So many people have lost their jobs, and a lot of the restaurants that are open now are not really making money. We're basically on survival mode right now. But as many restaurateurs, small business owners, the main reason we're opening, in spite of the fact that we know that, look, we're 20% dine-in capacities right now. What's that? That's 2 out of 10 people, right?
Okay.
And you have to pay the rent, you have to pay utilities, you have to pay your food costs. But why are we open? We're open because we just want to give people jobs. It's that's that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you want your business to survive, but more than that, and this I guess is very unique to Filipinos. You go to you look at the restaurants as in the restaurant scene in the United States. Now they're starting to reopen again, but last year practically every restaurant shut down.
Hmm.
Michelin starred restaurants, James Beard Award winners, celebrity chefs. They literally shut down the restaurants. That never really happened here.
Yeah.
Somehow, restaurant owners in the Philippines found a way to keep open in spite of the punishing rent, utilities, and all the disruptions caused by the ECQ, transportation problems, and of course, people getting sick from COVID. But we found a way to stay afloat. And I'm
Yeah.
really proud of that. I'm really proud of that. It's very different from many countries.
Yeah, the Philippines has gone through a plethora of ECQ, MECQ, GCQ. There's so many things that
You
sometimes
know,
it's so confusing for people. But Spanky, since you're I'm sure you're familiar with the rules right now. What are the rules now for dining in? Is it allowed right now for
yeah,
restaurants?
technically, in I'll talk in very simple terms of how we picture dine-in. For
Mm-hmm.
dining in, literally dining in inside the restaurant in the air-conditioned area, we're allowed 20%,
20%.
20. So you can imagine if you have a vast restaurant, good for 100 people, you can have 20 people dining at a time.
Mm.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
outside, if you are lucky enough to have an alfresco area, under the punishing heat of summer, where it's 41 degrees outside, you have 50%. But
Okay.
that's where we are. But people are just tired of getting stuck at home, and if they feel that there's a venue, a place like a restaurant that can offer a safe space with all the safety protocols in place, everyone has all the protective gear, all the sanitations being done, then there are quite a few that you can go to where you can actually feel at ease. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy that people, and it costs a lot. Air filters, transparent partitions, these all cost a lot.
Hmm.
And it's really, you're right. It's been a horrible year for restaurants, but hey, we're still here.
Yeah, because of the dining capacity, it is tough to kind of accommodate all the people. Because I'm sure there are a lot of people that want to go out and eat at a restaurant because they've been maybe they've been, I guess, at home for so long. But have you experienced an active resistance from the dining public as well when it comes to dining? Because I remember in the early pandemic, when when restaurants were first reopening, I
Hmm.
would see people posting on social media, Instagram stories, and then I would go on Twitter and I would see people calling out people saying, you know,
Yeah.
why are you eating at a restaurant? Why are you risking your life to go get food when you can just have it delivered? What I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Spanky. Maybe was that something that was justified by those people who were kind of skeptical about dining out, or do you think that they should, if it's safe enough, you should be able to go?
Yeah, I can't blame them. It's a natural human reaction to, and the number one warning for all of us is avoid crowds, right? But here's the
Yes.
thing: if there's an industry that has put safety and hygiene at the forefront ever since, from its inception,
Yeah.
and by the very nature of what they do or what they offer, there are two industries that have that at the forefront. Number one would be hospitals,
Hmm.
right? And they would be the most sanitized, the cleanest, safest spaces. And number two would be restaurants, right? Because here you're trying to save lives. Here you're nurturing lives. So the whole business model for a restaurant is to give you an experience, a safe and happy dining experience. Now we understand that people are naturally reluctant to go to a restaurant because, oh my god, it's air conditioned and all of these things. But here's the thing: many of the top restaurants now have established all of these parameters, not unlike that of aircraft. People always say, I don't want to fly because in an aircraft, you're there, you're in a metal tube flying around for 3 hours or maybe even longer if you're going to the States.
Hmm.
But what most people don't realize also is all the air in an aircraft is practically replenished and refreshed every few minutes,
Hmm.
right? So that's why flying is very safe. In the same way that many restaurants, with all the protective standards we've established over there and promoted and propagated the past year, are actually very safe.
Hmm.
And just to illustrate, have you heard of a single instance of an outbreak arising from a restaurant? There's been none, not at all.
Hmm.
And we've been open since June of last year, with a few stops and starts along the way. But in general, I think for 99% of the time, the safest spaces you can go to, aside from actually even safer than your house, because our protocols in restaurants are stricter than at home, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's what we always say. We are forced by the law, and we follow the law to implement all of these things to protect the diners. And sometimes the diners get really mad at us.
Yeah.
They don't even, yeah, they really get mad at us. Why can't we put, we're walking to the restroom from our table. Why can't we, why do we have to wear masks?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
the most famous, oh, we came in the same car. We're husband and wife,
Hmm.
right? How come we can't sit next to each other? No, because the law says you have to sit diagonally across from each other and
Hmm.
they're at least 1 meter apart. And we follow that because the protection is not just for you, it's for everyone in the restaurant, including the people serving you.
Including the staff. Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that. I love that you're really you stand behind it because I feel like if people were more if the restaurant industry was too relaxed on that, it would have a negative impact on everybody, right? I would say if one restaurant starts easing up on the rules, then people might lose faith in in the restaurant industry as a whole if they start
And
doing that.
yeah, that's I think the same part is of Resto PH. Resto PH, by the way, is very new. Resto
Mm.
PH is actually It's exactly a year ago when we first started getting together. Small
Yeah.
Zoom meetings, 2 people, 3 people. Now we
Mhm.
have over 300 members from the biggest restaurants, like the Moment Group, the Foodie Group. They're all there, and it's just very heartening and very happy to see that these people did not know each other before
Mhm.
March 2020. They were competitors. But a few hours ago, we had it was the birthday of Eric Tang. Eric Tang is the president. We forced him to be the president of Resto PH because he's such a good guy. He's calm, cool, collected, very organized, and very passionate about it. He and his wife Imelda are the owners of Mango Tree,
Yes.
the Thai restaurant,
Mhm.
Genki Sushi, among others. So two of the really best Thai and Japanese restaurants. And it was his birthday, and we had a small celebration among the Resto Page officers. And you know who was very active in the officers? One is the owner of Wolfgang's restaurant. One
Okay.
is the owner of Mamu, and one is the owner of House of Wagyu. And these are fierce competitors, but
Yes.
right now they're all working together and they're best friends. We drink together, we have Zooms together, we miss each other, and they did not know each other prior to this. But
True.
for the sake of the industry, they're really, really working hard together.
That's
And
fantastic.
it's amazing. When I
Yeah.
when I when I see them together, I just shake my head, man. It's crazy.
I guess that's a good way to bring up the inception of Resto PH. I mean, what is the backstory? What's the origin story of that? Who were you said it started with one or two members at first. So how did it kind of grow? Like who thought of it, and then who said, "Who's hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's invite this, let's invite this."
Okay, on my end, I think there were two parallel groups around May of last exactly a year ago. So we also consider May as our anniversary. We're trying to pinpoint the date actually. The
Okay.
earliest chat I can find this was May 12th, 2020.
Okay.
And I brought into the chat Malvin Ang, who owns Broadside, Raymond Magdaluya, who owns Wolfgangs, and RJ Ledesma, who's very intimately connected with Mercato Central and a lot of, yeah, right? So, and then Marvin and I were trying to actually lobby with Congress to help restaurants open and what standards we can implement to make it safe for the diners. At the same time, Raymond and his group were also thinking the same thing. And I noticed a chat, and there was a very tiny Facebook group called Bounce Back. And I reached out. And we started having Zoom meetings, and the Zoom meetings became daily meetings. The daily meetings became 2 hour meetings. And soon, it all happened very fast. We were on the horn with the Department of Trade and Industry, specifically with Secretary Juan Lopez. And he was gung ho about reopening the economy. And he said, the way to do this, one of the ways to do this was to really encourage people, small businesses. And he said, if we're going to take a look at the SMEs and SMSEs all over the Philippines, around 60% are food related. So we
Yeah.
have to drive this. And it's not just the restaurants, it's all the peripheral industries that rely on restaurants. Okay,
Mhm.
the farmers, all the growers, right? Furniture suppliers, of course, the manpower, everyone. So it's a big, burgeoning, exponential industry. And Secretary Mon Lopez, we owe him a lot
Yeah.
because he was the one who pushed for this. And we were not actually supposedly allowed to have dine-in or restaurants opening until August of last year.
Okay.
But because Secretary Mon Lopez pushed for it, we were able to open in the first week of June, right after we transitioned from to modified GC or GCQ. Remember, because we were stuck at home for 2.5 months.
Yes.
But
Yes.
very quickly, we were able to work closely with DTI prior to the reopening. So all of these things, the partitions that you see, alcohol, temp checks, all of these we worked on together, and they become everyday practices now. So yeah, it was fast.
Is it how would you is it safe to assume that maybe most restaurants that are open now are part of Resto PH? Or how
In
do you
NCR, I would say so. Yeah, we have
really?
a majority, but we're getting more and more members every day. So we have around 300 the last time I
Yeah.
looked,
Mm-hmm.
and that's big, And
That's
like you said at your intro, this is perhaps the largest organization of restaurants, and Yeah, because we can't even remember when there was another similar organization.
Yeah.
But we were born during a crisis.
Mhm.
We were molded during a crisis. We grew and got strengthened during a crisis. So initially we thought that this would just be a temporary thing, but
Mhm.
there's so many things to fight for and to implement in the industry in F&B even after the pandemic is over. So we see Resto Peach being here for the long term.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you foresee for the future of Resto Peach? What other things will you be looking to implement in the restaurant industry in the Philippines in general? I mean, you talked about the safety protocols, but let's pretend that everything's back to normal. Everyone's got the vaccine already, and
Right,
so
right.
what are the next the big hurdles that you're trying to overcome in the restaurant industry as a whole?
One of the
Moving.
first things we're doing is get an adequate supply of raw materials, goods, ingredients, including vegetables, and that would be the first thing that we would like to do because we've now established, and this is a phenomenon that's happened just in the past year. We now have a direct line to the farmers, and there's so many farmers who have had so many problems bringing their produce to Manila. And
Mhm.
we actually, the first big events of Resto PH were called farmers produce events. They were farmers markets. So we brought in tons of vegetables from the highlands, from Batangas, from all over. And we had our bazaars and weekend markets in the SM malls. And then eventually we had them in Ayala malls. We had them in the Mega World malls. We had them in the Robinsons mall. So they grew and they grew. And again, all of these open air markets were in the alfresco areas, in the roof deck of Aura, for example. So
Mhm.
people were not afraid to go and then to buy tomatoes or lettuce at one half the price or even less from supermarket costs. Then it was a big help to consumers. It was a great help, most especially for the suppliers, the growers, because farming is in a dire state in the Philippines, right? And
Yes.
we'd like to know the average farmer is getting really, really old. Their kids don't want to be farmers, but we want to make sure that this continues and this food chain, our supply cycle continues. So that's one thing. We want to strengthen the relationships between the farmers, not just the vegetable farmers, produce farmers, but even animal farmers as well. Now we have a big problem with the swine flu, so all of this are like dominoes. So once we create a relationship with one industry or one segment of the industry, we'd
Mhm.
like to establish this and make it stronger and stronger as we go along. What's the net effect for everyone? We can get lower prices for higher quality goods. And in return, we can serve this at restaurants, and the end result is consumer benefits.
Yes.
So that's it.
All
Then
right.
moving forward, we want to establish more protection for restaurant workers, have even more. And for example, one of the controversies, and to fix all of these things about senior cards,
Mhm.
cards of people with disabilities. This is very sad because sometimes they're abused. Sometimes we even have fake cards,
Yeah.
right?
Because the
So
discount is pretty big, right? The discount is quite big, if I'm
it's
not mistaken.
substantial. It really is
Yeah.
substantial. But we want to make sure that not the restaurants, of course, get revenues from this, but we want to make sure that these are not abused. We're
Mhm.
very much on the side of seniors, and we'd like to make sure that they get the best food. And we miss the seniors because right now
Yeah.
they're not allowed to go out,
Mhm.
right? But we have to fix all of these things and make sure that everyone is benefits from all of these laws.
Yeah, I mean the way that you lay it out, it seems like pre-pandemic these were already problems or issues or things that needed to be addressed. But Resto PH was only formed due to the adversity of the pandemic.
Yeah,
How
true. We
come
didn't.
it only happened during the I mean, how come there was never some sort of big governing body or a group of restaurant owners who came together and said, "Hey, let's fix this"? Prior to the pandemic, was there a reason? Was it pride? Was it competition? What's the reason why it only really happened last year?
Well, first of all, before the pandemic, we were in the golden age of. There was a boom, right?
Mhm.
And we were like people were considering the Philippines, Metro Manila in particular, as the new Singapore, the new Hong Kong,
Mm.
the next culinary capital of Asia. And maybe it wasn't, I wouldn't say competition, but everyone was just trying to put up their own thing,
Yeah,
man.
do their own
Everyone
thing.
was just you're my neighbor in the mall, but I've not eaten in your restaurant because I'm so devoted and involved in making sure that my restaurant prospers and survives and becomes the next big thing.
Hmm.
And it was happening. So everyone was just too busy, and there was no unifying moment. There
Yeah.
was no big problem that would necessitate all of us coming together until this.
Oh,
And then
this.
when we came together for because we need to make sure the whole purpose, the primary purpose, our objective for Resto PH is simply we want to make all the restaurants survive. We're
Yes.
still in survival mode right now. Restaurants, much as we appreciate the fact that people are asking for delivery, restaurants are not meant for delivery. We were
Yeah.
not built for deliveries. We're just not, right? We're meant for the whole experience, celebrations, happy occasions, the chef's table, the plating, the artistry. We're not built for deliveries, but we have to
Yeah.
make do with that. And when we formed, we thought, oh yeah, we're just here to help each other get through the pandemic. Then we realized, oh, there's so much we can do together.
Mm.
And we're just talking about Metro Manila, and soon we were expanding to Pampanga, to North Luzon, Southern Luzon, starting with Tagaytay, and eventually we'll have our chapters in Visayas and Mindanao. So it's going to be a nationwide thing.
That's. I think it's really cool that you're already expanding across the whole nation,
I
and
know,
then
right? It's
I love how
crazy.
there's chapters, because it's a I mean, it's a group, like it's an official group that was formed with the intent of helping each other out, and I think it's really cool that you're expanding north and south, east and west. But Spanky, I gotta ask, because you mentioned earlier that you were negotiating with or talking to the folks at DTI, for example, but this is coming from a it was an unofficial group as of last year, but then you kind of formed it. But are
Hmm.
you like, do you have a registration? Are you registered under some
Yes,
sort of
yeah,
governing body now? So
we're
that
fully registered and everything. We have our papers, our SEC. We have our bank account. We have receipts. So we're an organization, legit.
I
And
love
we
it.
knew that we knew that it had to happen. We had
Yeah,
to give an air of legitimacy to everything because we not only help each other or give help each other as restaurant owners and chefs even,
mhm,
but more importantly, we are the voice of F&B. So when we talk to all the government organizations, and lately we've been meeting with everyone, literally from IATF, Secretary Galvez, DTI, and we're very honored that they now recognize us because we were not around 1 year
yeah,
ago.
hmm,
But by leaps and bounds, now we can ask for a meeting with Mayor Abby Binay. We can ask for a meeting with Mayor Joy Belmonte and all of the top mayors, and we're setting a meeting with Yorme soon. And we just want to tell them, hey, this is us. You have so many thousands of people and their families in the industry. How
hmm,
can we help each other? And to the LGU's credit, to DTI, IATF, DOH, everyone, especially Department of Agriculture, they've all been very supportive. They realize the importance of the restaurant industry. And again, no one before the pandemic, just to add to what you're saying, we were just involved amongst ourselves, right?
yeah.
We
It was
wanted to do well.
a
There was no
collective
need to,
effort, right?
yeah. But now we're all best friends. Jollibee and McDonald's are the primary proponents of Ingat Angat,
Mm,
right? And which is essentially ingat, take care, and then rise up together.
hmm.
And soon they're coming with a project. So ingat angat, bakuna sa lahat. So that's the
Oh,
next campaign. And
nice.
that's going to be led by Jollibee, by Margot Torres, and by Jollibee's Jollibee Pepot Minyana, and then McDonald's with Margot Torres. So it's amazing. So we have
Yeah,
a
I think
Zoom with
everyone.
them, I think, tomorrow.
Oh, cool. The other members, Spanky, the other members of Resto PH, you said over 300 plus members. What is your what are your, because not everyone is an officer. So the ones that aren't officers, what input do they give? What do they bring to the group? Do they share best practices, or do they give recommendation? What exactly do the other members of the group do? The ones that don't that aren't in the meeting rooms, that aren't in the boardrooms.
Well, we as officers we mainly facilitate,
Mm,
right, and put things into order and make sure that everyone's issues are taken care of. It all starts in the Viber group. It's a very very active Viber group, and we have two main Viber groups. One is all the restaurant owners,
Okay.
right? So they have a different perspective. The other Viber group would be all the chefs, but they do have common concerns, hiring practices, best practices, and one thing that's blossomed the past couple of months is people are actually helping their former employees find jobs. Right? Oh,
Mm,
I need a line cook. I need a chef who's good in Latin fusion. All of these things. So people are just sharing information. People are sharing best practices, including the best suppliers, right? For ingredients, for flour. Where can I buy a really good burger bun? Is a common question, right? Where
mm,
can I buy this? Where can I really buy good furniture? Or if I'm selling off a piece of kitchen equipment, would you like to sell it? And it's become a marketplace of sorts.
nice.
There's part of information, but I guess what I appreciate most of all is this air of cooperation and support.
Mhm.
JC, the way we're looking at we're it's life during wartime.
Yeah.
That's how we feel. That's how we feel,
Right.
and we're battling together very solidly and united as one. And it's funny how quickly this has developed and how solid they are. And when we look at the Viber messages, sometimes we just get so, I wouldn't say flustered, but honored, and because we were the founders and we didn't
Yeah.
realize this would happen at all. And
Mm,
when you get thanks from someone who's been in the industry for 20, 30 years,
yeah.
and they say thank you, and it's, I don't know, I don't personally, I don't know how to reply to that. I'm just
Yeah.
honored, because JC, you and I, we love to eat, right?
Yeah, we do. Yes, we
Right?
do.
So this is a part of our life, but to be helping the industry that you love so much is
Mhm.
a deep, deep privilege and honor for us.
I think I agree, and I think what you're doing and what the rest of your Resto page is doing is fantastic. And you've actually spoken on well, I remember there was a statement that you wrote, but on behalf of Resto PH because of an incident that happened on social media. So I just
Oh
want to
yeah,
jump into that. No name dropping, but there was an issue before where there was a TikToker influencer. I don't know what you want to call it, key online key opinion leader. I don't know what the terms are nowadays.
yeah.
Uh, who
You know
took
what?
like
I just what I was listening to a
yeah, yeah.
vlogger yesterday.
Okay, okay.
You know what they said? We're social media artists.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go. Right. So okay, so
So
there were a couple of social
a
media
social
artists a
media
while
artist
back,
who
and
who
you know how TikTok works, right? So
yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah,
have to go the most. Everyone's just trying to go viral,
yeah.
and this influencer, the social media artist in question, said so they put up this video where they admitted that they were stealing togarashi salt from a restaurant,
Right.
right? And we felt, and everyone, we were just so deeply offended, and every centavo counts now,
Mm,
right? These are not, it's life during wartime. We're scrimping for every peso, every centavo. Every centavo we save leads to a peso, and that's something we can pay for our rent, for
right.
employee salaries, for benefits. And here you are with your fancy bags and your fancy clothes. And for the sake of virality and getting hits, you do
Yeah.
this. We were deeply offended,
Right. Right.
deeply, deeply offended. So we wrote a statement condemning it. And we were even, and I asked permission from the restaurant in question.
Right.
And initially they said, no, maybe we'll keep this quiet because we're a franchisee and our principals abroad may not like the undue attention.
Mm.
But after a couple of days, they came up with their own statement and saying that they were thinking, because we literally forced the social media artists to pull down their video. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
Interesting.
without rancor, without malice, we said,
Right.
you've probably made a mistake, but we cannot allow this to stand. You have to pull it down, right?
Mhm.
And that was, you can do whatever you want after that. We're not trying to shut you down, but this has to go because you're setting a bad example.
Mhm.
And we don't want this to be repeated by so many others, impressionable young minds that you're
Oh, yeah.
influencing,
Yeah.
right? And we
Especially on
don't want this
TikTok.
to be a trend.
TikTok is ripe with Gen Z, and I don't even know what comes after Gen Z. Where you ran out
I
of
know,
letters. What's what?
I
I mean,
know.
what's that, right?
Uh,
So It's crazy. But on the
Yeah,
conversely, Spanky, the social media has also been a big help for promoting restaurants and food. I mean, I've been on TikTok for the last few months, just scrolling through mindlessly, and I've seen food videos of restaurants here, and it looks good, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go there. I want to order from them.
right.
Do you have are you working in collaboration with any social media artists, or have you considered it as Resto PH considered a social media campaign, or have you already ran one? In
What Here's the thing. The next big thing for social media will be TikTok, and
yeah,
for two reasons. One, it's a lot of the Gen Zs or the kids. Wait, so they're supposed to have been born in '95 or after '95, right? That's the way we're classifying them now, right?
yeah,
And so we're looking at them, but they're the ones now who have two things. They're about to graduate from either from high school or college, but to a large extent, they are the own micro influencers of their own networks.
mm,
And within their families, they're the ones who push their parents, "Mom, Dad, can you order this for us? Because we're
yeah,
stuck at home, we want this." And our next step now, since we have concluded that TikTok is as going to be as important as Facebook is for, because Facebook literally now is really for Gen X, right?
yeah.
And
I would,
I would maybe millennials, in particular stories, IG stories. The funny thing is, the seniors, the baby boomers, they're the
huh.
Viber people, right? They're the Viber people, right? And so we have clear delineations of every age status, and TikTok will be the Gen Z. So for the coming months, we're going to advise the restaurants, okay, start creating content. We're going to teach them how to create content for TikTok,
Okay. Wow.
responsible content, right?
Yeah.
And because it's going to be the battlefield, it's already the next Instagram, but it's a very very young market. So there's a particular tone, a particular voice, the way it looks, right? How do you
It is.
do that,
It is so
right?
difficult. Like I've
It's so
tried it.
different.
It's
Yeah,
so hard. I don't know how to do it.
I know.
I like watching, but I cannot create content for it.
I just watch. I think like with all things social media, we've mastered the art of Facebook. Putting in spiels and for Instagram, making sure that you get them for at least 2 seconds, and they at least swipe right on your next story. And it's
Right.
going to be the same with TikTok. I want to make sure that I'm going to be watched for at least 15 seconds. It's very difficult, but it's the same way. All the practices that you learn from the classic advertising techniques and campaigns will now have to be implemented. How to
Mm.
catch the eyeballs, how to make them remember. Because TikTok, it's crazy. There's just so much content, so much clutter. How to stand out?
Yeah. It's
So you,
saturated.
you just have to make a crazy good commercial like Chris Evans in the telco. You
Telco,
just
yeah.
you just have to do
Everywhere.
that.
Or BTS, right? BTS,
Yeah.
Black. They're all big.
Like tomorrow, Krispy Kreme is launching a Blackpink donut
Oh.
made
I
with
might.
Pepsi. Because
Wow.
Pepsi's, I'm not kidding. Because
Yeah.
it's basically a Pepsi glazed donut that's colored black and pink.
Wow.
But that's where you go now. But not everyone can afford Chris Evans or BTS, right?
True, true.
So you've been a food vlogger, you've been a blogger. You know how to take photos of food. You know how to give accurate descriptions. I think it's all going to boil down to communications,
Right, right.
right? So bottom line, you have to take good video.
Mm.
You have to put a good caption, nothing stupid. Make it accurate and fair and honest, and
Yeah.
start building the trust, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Uh,
where we're going. We have no choice but to go to TikTok, brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
But once the because you even mentioned earlier ingat angat and then what was the new one, the new campaign that they were going to bring?
Ingat bakuna sa lahat. Yeah.
Yeah. So once the vaccines are, administered to everybody out there, are is Resto PH thinking of, because for example in the US the CDC, they announced that if you're vaccinated, you can go out without a mask, for example,
Hmm.
but there's no mandate for any sort of burden of proof that you're vaccinated. You don't have to show your vaccination card or an ID card.
Yeah.
Are there plans for the restaurant industry here to have some sort of proof of vaccination in the in the future when maybe not everyone's vaccinated yet, but if you want to dine in, you and you're vaccinated, you can walk around freely. Is there some sort of plans in the work for that, or is
Yeah,
that something that's still?
very broad strokes. So the easiest way to do that by everyone's got a vaccination card, right? But that can
Yeah.
be in the same way that the RT-PCR test results can be forged. People can
Yes,
forge it. I
indeed.
hope they don't,
Of course.
but that's a reality. So how do you solve this? One is you have to create an app digitally to make sure that, for example, the key cities where there are most restaurants here in NCR, I'm talking about Taguig, Makati, San Juan, Manila, and Quezon City,
Mhm.
can go together. And we're bouncing this idea around. We're calling it the vaccine pass, where everyone who's got at least one jab or two jabs can get benefits. What we'd like to do is there was an idea being floated around that the vaccine pass is something that will be good for 6 months. But what happens is if you don't have a vaccine pass, you'll not be allowed in. We'd like to
Ah,
take the so in other words, it's closing a door on people.
right, right.
So what we'd like to do is open a door for people. If you have a vaccine pass, that means to say you can now eat out. Like I talk about seniors, right? Who were the
Yes.
first people to get vaccinated? The seniors who have been
Seniors.
stuck at home the longest, the seniors.
Yeah.
So if I have my vaccine pass, that means I can go out, right, with the mask and the shield, but I can finally go to a restaurant because you go to Rockwell, for instance, in the afternoons. Who's there? It's the seniors, right? And you have to. These are your golden years, and this is the retirement you've worked hard for 50 years, and now you can't go out.
Yeah.
You're just looking for simple pleasures to hang out, have coffee, have some churros with your fellow lolas and lolas, and you can't do that. But what you want to do is, if there's going to be a vaccine pass, and would like to give seniors as an example, if you can present this, that you've been vaccinated, oh, come on to my restaurant, right? Maybe increase my capacity for people who have been fully vaccinated,
Mhm.
right? So that's what we'd like to do, and it's really our goal. I think our primary goal now is to make sure that seniors are allowed to go out, because once you're allowed to go out, the kids will be allowed to go out, and I think people will now start back. 'Cause in the states, JC, they're now vaccinating the kids,
Yeah.
right? Because they're practically giving the vaccines away.
Exactly.
So, but that's not the situation here yet. We've vaccinated, I think, first jab, we're reaching around 3 million by the end of the week for first jab. No? For complete two jabs, we'll probably hit that a million by the end of May. It's still pretty slow, although we see our friends on social media getting it. But we're seeing it's the tip of the iceberg. We're scratching the surface. So,
Mhm.
but I'm expecting that if all things go well, and if we can, again, we're rushing things again because
Yeah.
Grandparents' Day is sometime in July, I think. Because
Mhm.
Father's Day is June 20, then a month after is Grandparents' Day. We'd like to have something that we can work on in the next 2 months where at least some LGUs or the bigger ones with all the top restaurants will be allowed to accept seniors. And oh my God, people will, just to see your lolas and lolas with
Yes.
their fully vaccinated fellow lolas,
Yeah.
that's gonna be, it's gonna make your heart ache. You're just gonna be so happy to see them together, and that's what
It's
we
a
want to do.
heartwarming.
It's
It's a heartwarming.
sobrang heartwarming, sobra. It's just that I can, they'll be crying. They'll be crying
Yeah.
because finally my dreadful children have allowed me to go out, and I'll be crying because my friends of 60 years who I haven't seen in 15, 16 months, I can finally
Mhm.
see them again. Even
Yeah.
with mask on, but at least we can have coffee together. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a beautiful thing, and that's, I can tell you, that's one of the things we're really, really looking into now, lobbying and working on for the
Yeah.
seniors.
I think that the near future is looking optimistic. So, Spanky, before we come to a close, I wanted to get maybe, in your opinion, the realistic timeline of what's going to happen for the restaurant industry. Is it until it's fully recovered? What are you and the rest of the group thinking or projecting as the in the near future for
All of this, JC, has to be predicated on us keeping our minimum safety protocols. Because what's going to happen here is the minute cases rise again, we're now down to around 5,500 the past 3 days
Mhm.
of new cases. And this is nationwide, right?
Right.
NCR's really dropped. And one of the figures you have to look at, are the utilizations of the respirators, ICU beds, COVID wards, and they're really dropping right now, which
Mm.
means to say that our healthcare workers or frontliners are relaxed. They're not too tired anymore, and we have capacities to take on. But this should not make us, be careless, right? Let's not have any super spreader events. But if we're very careful and we are very aware that of the damage even another month of ECQ can do to businesses, because what happens when you have an EC, everything stops.
Mm.
Then not only that, it takes a while to build confidence back again. So in a best case scenario, in a perfect world scenario where cases keep on dropping at the same time, exponentially the vaccines keep on, everyone gets vaccinated. We're looking at December to hit around 50-60% of pre-COVID levels consistently across the board. Because we were there in February during the weekend of Valentine's and Chinese New Year.
Right.
We were there. Restaurants were reporting this is the best day or the best weekend I've had since February of 2020 in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And people were so confident. And then all of a sudden, cases spiked. We hit 12,000, which freaked out everyone. It's down to half that, and we're hoping in the next by June or by July, we're going to be back at the 3,000, 2,000 level, which is now
Yeah.
manageable, because especially in the light of more vaccinations. So, given all of that, and again, this is all given this all it's all predicated on foundation of people just
Mm.
keeping safe. We're hoping that the Christmas season will really be a good Christmas season.
It'd be a great gift, right, to
Yeah,
everybody.
it's a great gift for everyone. People can finally see each other. JC, what do you miss? I miss hugging people, man. I
Uh,
miss. I hate doing this
right?
fake high five. I hate it. Right, but you see your friend in the mall, you give them a kiss, a simple kiss on the cheek, or maybe a hug.
Mhm.
Maybe not a kiss yet, but a hug. Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's going to be big.
It's crazy how much how many things personally myself I feel like I took a lot of things for granted, just standing outside and like just standing
I
outside
know.
without
Standing
with
outside with nothing on your
standing
face.
nothing on your face. It's underrated. Touching your face is
Yeah.
touching your hair. It's underrated.
And I really feel for the frontliners, the security guards,
Mm.
everyone who, like, I really feel for the especially security guards, because they have to they're on 8 hour, 10 hour shifts the whole time. You cannot remove your mask or your shield.
I
And
know.
see, we wear those for 10 minutes. We're just like going crazy, right, Jace? But gosh,
Yeah.
and
I feel it.
I see them and I pray for them and I say, I mean, we're one industry among many, but we are probably the most high profile, the most visible. And how many industries do you visit on a daily basis? Restaurants would have to be one of them, right?
For
And
sure.
if we do our jobs right, then we can really shine a light, and we can be the leaders in making sure that a lot of the other industries follow as well. Because if you feel it is safe to go out, everyone's first instinct is to go to a restaurant.
Hmm.
Everyone. So we feel, if all goes well, we're going to have our revenge spending, and people are just gonna blow exorbitant amounts on food and steaks. I'm so happy to go out, right? I can
Yeah.
now I can now eat on a plate with
Yes.
silverware, not from a box that I have to microwave, right? So
Right.
yeah, so that's why we're very
Well,
strict. We're very
yeah.
strict. We know where we're going, and we hope that we reach it this year, and we have a very very strong will to do so to make it happen.
Well, I'm
Uh,
optimistic about the future, and I think
yeah.
it's everyone's gonna bounce back. With that being said, Spanx, we didn't even get to delve into your illustrious career as a food and TV host. We didn't even get to talk about it. But
I
the
know.
next time we have you on, we gotta talk more about that. But
Yeah, we got it. More positive things, or what we do in our favorite restaurants and all of these things.
But of course, I mean, you have a lot of people listening on air, even online. Is there anyone you want to say hello to? And of course, the future for Resto PH. If you want to invite people to join, or maybe there are some restaurant owners listening right now, and we're like, oh man, I need to be part of that. Please feel free to welcome them.
Yeah, so for every restaurant owner, small or big, provincial, Metro Manila, you can be a franchisee or a franchisor, homegrown business or imported. We have a group on Facebook called Resto PH. It's a group, not a page. So I can let you in. Just have to answer a couple of questions. We just have to make sure that you really are part of the industry. So that's
You know,
one.
right?
Yeah. So, and we're here to help. We're all here to help. Best practice, JC, as you said, and to make sure that we all survive and prosper, then all work together for. It's going to be a beautiful year after all of this is over, and that's what we're trying to do. And but most especially, I think for everyone listening, most of us are consumers. I'm a consumer as well. Support your restaurants, support them. They've been here for your whole lives. I mean, all your from childhood, your birthday celebrations, all of your parties, weddings, and no matter how small the order, it helps, right?
I love
Order
it.
direct. I know a lot of people can't dine in, but for those who can, there are al fresco areas. There are very spaces to dine in. Do so, whatever you can to support, because every little bit helps. And I guess it's we want to communicate most of all. We need you. If there's one industry that needs you most of all, and the one industry that you can help, the restaurant industry, because we need it and we'd like to give back.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, anyone you want to say hello to, Spanky? Any
Well,
listening?
Eric Tang, because it our president. Eric was surprised to be the president. But we noticed when we had all our meetings, Eric's always here. And Eric's always giving us the most cogent analysis. He's always calm, and sometimes we all get impassioned, but Eric will always cool us down, and he looks like a lawyer,
Oh, there
right?
you go.
So and he's got the face and the veneer and the temperament for it. So when we have to talk to government, so a cabinet secretary, he looks the part.
He's
He
the
talks
one.
the part. He's the one. So he became our Neo, and we were. It's his birthday, and happy birthday, Eric! And we're really very great on behalf of a very grateful industry. Thank you so much for all that you do for all the restaurants all over the Philippines, big or small. He's been a hero to us. So Eric Tang, you're the man.
Yeah. Shout
Yeah.
out to everything. And Spanky, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We'd love to have you back. We'll talk more about your life as well next time you come back here. And let's go grab a steak after this all
Oh,
ends,
yeah,
right?
hey, it's really good
Good.
to see you. Even on SteamYard, right? So
It's been a while.
yeah, but
We'll
we
see
should dine in or get a steak or al fresco,
for sure.
whatever makes yeah, whatever
For
rocks your boat.
Yeah. To all the monsters out there, thank you for listening. Join us again next week for more hot conversations here on Heard on Thursdays. Have a wonderful evening and always keep it locked here on Manila's hottest monster, RX 93.1.